essentially, with the support from USIP, started this project on women moderating extremism. And over the last year, we have built this coalition of about 20 women from all parts of Pakistan, including areas of Fatah and KPK, as I said, the hardest hit provinces and people even from Kashmir. And the coalition is really, its primary purpose is this dynamic of really introducing the discourse of extremism within Pakistan. And to do that, these wonderful 20 courageous women, and you're seeing some of their photographs, worked hard over the last year in a series of workshops we conducted and a number of meetings and events that they organized to work on two levels. One is on advocacy within Pakistan, primarily directed to the national government, though there's a lot of provincial activities now with the devolution and a lot of authorities going back to the provinces, on really tackling the issues, particularly through three key lenses. Number one is issues of security and redefining security. And so, for example, introducing concept of participation of civil society actors in the newly developed national counterterrorism strategy. So there's a lot of effort to really build these policies and support and help government understand the need to include these actors. The second component is rehabilitation and reconstruction. And there we are particularly working through the reality that Pakistan was hit with these huge natural disasters, and even there was this chaos and support from civil society for the government intervention. But such interventions and policies do not really exist or are not as effective in terms of what we would say extremist attacks, for example. So you don't necessarily have the first responders teams that you are often puzzled with when a bomb blast happens, who is in charge and how you help people, etc. And the third aspect is critically important, obviously, education. But what was interesting when we conducted that last session, the women themselves said, we really need to think more broadly than just education, and they named and termed that concept mediums of indoctrination, particularly through the relevance of the modern social media, and to what degree some of the extremists unfortunately get recruited through those methods. And it's interesting, Mossarat and I have been talking for the last week, to what degree actually just bribing a young 14-year-old with a cell phone can buy his loyalty. And these are the kind of three key aspects of their advocacy strategy. But what I also realized is that in addition to introducing this concept through advocating to policymakers, what they needed and what they developed are the plans on the provincial level on community outreach. And they're doing it through three key lenses. One is working with the media. In particular, there is a wonderful push that we are now going to go back, inshallah, in a couple of weeks and try to work on, which is working with some of the key media actors to brainstorm around the code of conduct on reporting on extremism. Because there's obviously, we know when it bleeds, and all these typical journalist coverage elements, but what happens in Pakistan is often the confused coverage of extremism in different parts leads to increased actually recruitment. So the second aspect is obviously working with religious communities. And Mossarat will probably speak to about her work with these communities, but what is important is really the need within Pakistan, and I would frankly speak to other Muslim contexts, is to actually get the clergy, the mullah, the person who is up at the khutbah on a Friday, to really work with civil society actors, particularly people from academia. So your scholars, your teachers at the universities, who theologians, so people who can bring these the awareness or understanding of the broader context of Islam, particularly again in the areas where maybe the more conservative interpretation is prevalent. So media, religious authorities, and the third, obviously, outreach is again particularly working with youth. And in the number of provinces from Balochistan, and I think even in Punjab, they've done a couple, it's conducting these essentially community dialogues, where young people have an opportunity to express their views and particularly engage with the women in communities on such concepts as jihad and